How are we? How are we? How are we? Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome back to another deadline stream. It is game week 16, the week of all the transfers. I hope you are doing well. Thank you all very much for joining. If you are in nice and early, a big thank you to you all. Let's start off, as we always do, with a little round of hellos. So say hello in the chat. And yeah, we will do all of that before we dive in to the usual part of the stream. Good to be back for another week. Good to be back. Who have we got then? Hello to Ping Pong Prince 123. Welcome and thank you for joining as a new member. Messi 10 FPL. Hello to you as well. Hello to Sam, hello to DUJ, hello to Farbrough, hello to I Am That, hello to Fiona, hello to FPL Robin, Bobby, Jordan, Boston Mike, hello to, who else have we got? John, ASV, and to all the other members and moderators in this morning. Thank you all very much in particular for your support, and to everyone else in this morning, or yeah, just still this morning. Losme, Melon, Joe, Alex, Novi, Ethan, Hayden, Dayla, Derot, Anthony, Antonio, Lorenzo, Mike, Johnny, Ali, Jamie, Alex, Luang, Neil, Asmar, Daniel, Outro Music, Harvey, Azam, Bale, Halvard, Carl, Nico, Gaming Salah, Philip, Rajan, Rachel, and to Luke, Johnny, and Richard, and to all of you as well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Thank you all very much for joining. I hope you're all doing well. So this is how the team is currently set up for this week. I have, of course, confirmed the one transfer. The one transfer I've confirmed feels like so long ago. I almost made it a week ago. The Mateta out to Thiago transfer. Still very happy with that. I think 0.3 million in value has changed since I did that transfer. I think Thiago's risen twice. I think Mateta dropped, losing me value on him. So happy enough with that transfer. Still got 4 transfers left, 1 million in the bank, and couple of things to talk about with my team. We'll talk about Arsenal, we'll talk about Timber, we'll talk about Declan Rice, we'll talk about captaincy. And the other thing for me, of course, is Enzo Fernandez is the big thing in my team this week. What do I do with him? Do I want to keep him for Everton at home and then sell him for game week 17 onwards, where the fixtures definitely get a bit worse? Or do I just get rid of him this week when I'm likely to sell him next week anyway? So that is what I will be deciding on it. Having both Enzo and Timber in my team doesn't feel that great, but we will talk about all of that. Burrows, Rice to Saka, worth it if you're going to captain him. You also have the Timber flag. Rice to Saka, if it's your only way to get Saka, I don't mind it, but I would probably only do it if you are going to captain Saka. I'm not sure I'd be selling Rice to Saka just for a transfer, because I actually think Rice is better value than Saka. I actually think long-term Rice is probably a better long-term pick than Saka because of the amount of weeks that you're not going to captain Saka. Like, I look at Saka's upcoming fixtures and I don't see loads of times. I like that next time I think we might consider captaining him is not until sort of February time. So there is a lot of, money spent on a player that you're not really going to captain. So listen, if you want to go Rice to Saka, I think that's fine with the luxury transfers that we've got. But I would only do it if you are set on captaincy. Can't seem to get away from the idea of Enzo to Harry Wilson for the next 3 weeks. Thoughts? Yeah, Harry Wilson is one of the Enzo replacements that I've looked at. He was the one that I was really considering when I thought I needed money to buy Daniel Munoz next week. But I don't need the money to buy Daniel Munoz next week anymore. So I don't need the cheap option that I thought I did. So I then look at my team and think, where do I really need to do big upgrades in terms of value? And I don't think I need that Harry Wilson spot in my team. I think I'd be more inclined to do Anderson to Harry Wilson in my team and then go Harry Wilson to Dewsbury Hall in a couple of weeks. I think the big thing is, if you're looking at Dewsbury Hall, I think he's one of the most transferred in midfielders this week. With 5 free transfers, I would really consider going Harry Wilson for a couple of weeks and then going to Dewsbury Hall. I think Dewsbury Hall is going to be very popular in game week 18. I think Everton in general will be top priority. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. I might do Elliot Anderson to Dewsbury Hall in 18. But I might also look at Bowen. That week, right? And in order to get there, I could do something like Guiu. So Guiu to Bowen. I actually haven't tried to see this. I don't think I can't get Dewsbury Hall in there. I'm well short of the money, actually. 0.8 short. So, I mean, Van Dijk could go at some point to free up that money if I needed to. But I like the look of Bowen. I think those upcoming West Ham fixtures are pretty good. I think from 18 onwards, there's a chance we see a return of the Bowen that we saw at the end of last season when he was such a good pick. Different manager, of course, but that run for West Ham from 18 to 25 does look really, really nice. So Bowen's one I've got my eye on. I am 0.8 short of that, but like Timber could go, Van Dijk could go. Outside of that, probably no one else. But that would give me a nice sort of front 8, which I would quite like. Sort of Anderson first sub most weeks. So that's something I'm definitely having a look at. But I don't need to worry about that for a couple of weeks, I don't think. You did Enzo and Mateta to Wilson and Ekatike. Ekatike is another one. He's top of my differential ranking this week. If you've got luxury transfers and you've got the money, I really like what Ekatike can offer. At the moment, Senesi to Timber or Rodon to Hincapié. Rodon to Hincapié. I wouldn't be buying Timber. We'll do Arsenal in just a moment, but I would rather do Rodon to Hincapié, and that is all of them. So let's talk Arsenal, right? The big 3 things. First of all, let's do captaincy. My captaincy armband is on Saka, and I think I'm going to leave it there. There's a few things that contribute to it. I think Arsenal at home, Saka got a full week's rest beforehand. He's almost certain they've got a cup game midweek. Big chance that Saka gets another rest during the week as well. Do I think that Saka plays 90? No. I don't think he will get to 90, but he might get further depending on how the game is going. And if they've already scored 3 goals, then maybe he comes off. But hopefully he's got the involvement in that. I think Palace is a difficult away game, despite the fact that they played on the cup game isn't midweek. Sorry, they don't even have the cup. The cup is after game week 17. So Arsenal have a completely free midweek after game week 16, which is nice for Saka. Thank you, Good Evil, for pointing out my error. So I like the Saka fixture. My only issue is I don't think Saka's that explosive. I think he's an option that if I keep him in my team every week, he'll tick along like he's done 12, 4, 5, 6, 4. Like, it's fine, but am I sure he's worth the money? Not really, but if there's ever a game for him to go well, it's probably Wolves at home. So that's where we're at the moment. Captaincy armband is on Saka. Elsewhere at Arsenal, Declan Rice. I'd be more confident that Rice starts than Timber. Rice had an illness. He was ill midweek. How long is he going to be ill for? I probably expect him to be back, at least in the squad, but I probably expect him to start. The next one is Julian Timber. I'm less confident on him. He had a knock midweek. Apparently, he is a matter of days. But Arteta saying he is a matter of days on a Friday with a game on the Saturday doesn't fill me with loads of confidence. It is easily a game that they don't have to risk him in if there is a knock there. But then also they don't have very many defenders at the moment. So if he doesn't play, they're playing Ben White, Lewis Skelly, Hincapié, and probably Norgard as their back 4. So Rice, I think, plays. Timber, I'm less certain of, but I'm not gonna sell Timber. I'm just gonna deal with Timber as it is, I think. Would I start Semenyo or Hincapié? I'd want to start both, but if I had to pick one, I wouldn't be benching an Arsenal player this week. Okay, to bench booth with Verbruggen, O'Reilly, Mukiele, and Mark Guiu. Yeah, I think Mark Guiu's potential minutes this weekend are all right. I don't expect him to start, but he'll probably get on the pitch. Start Van Dijk or O'Reilly? Probably Van Dijk. Start Richards or O'Reilly? I'd play O'Reilly. There is a benching ranking with the top 17 most popular ones included. I would be starting Van Dijk regardless, though. I'm not even sure he's in the ranking. I wouldn't be benching Van Dijk, I don't think. Yeah. So, Captaincy poll is already up in the chat, and Saka is winning it 65%, 30% on Haaland, 7% on other, which I imagine is a combination of Thiago and Bruno Fernandes. I'd be interested to know in the chat an answer to my question this week. Who do you think is better this week out of Semenyo and Enzo Fernandez? So Semenyo or Enzo in the chat. Let me know. The other big thing to talk about is the news we got from Manchester United in their press conference yesterday. So Manchester United do not know at the moment whether their AFCON players will be allowed to play on Monday night. Monday on Monday is the official day that players going to AFCON have to report to their countries. And Manchester United don't play until Monday night. So we don't know at the moment whether the likes of Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui are less important from an FPL point of view, but it does impact the way that Manchester United play. We don't actually know if Mbeumo is going to be available to play on Monday night or not. Someone said apparently a team from one of the lower leagues in England has asked to have their player play on Monday and it was declined. But unfortunately, I do think Manchester United have a higher power in agreeing or forcing this through than someone else. I expect Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui all to play on Monday night. Is it guaranteed? No. If you've got money to do Mbeumo to Bruno or Mbeumo to Foden this week, I would probably do it. But we don't know. Someone's saying pretty sure Man United given the go-ahead. Read it a few weeks ago. We all read that a few weeks ago. And actually, it was almost rumoured that Mbeumo might be able to play game week 17. But Amorim said in his press conference yesterday on Friday that he doesn't know yet. He's expecting to hear today. Now, hopefully, we hear at some point during the deadline stream because that would make people with Mbeumo's life a lot easier to decide, because we might get to 6 o'clock this evening and suddenly there's a report that Mbeumo is allowed to play or he's not allowed to play. I would probably, unless you can go to someone like Foden, I'd probably sell Mbeumo to Foden, Bruno, Saka this week. Outside of that, if you don't have the money, I would consider going to Semenyo this week. He's got a good fixture next week. You could go to Szoboszlai, or you just take the gamble if you've got a decent sub that Mbeumo plays. Because I expect Mbeumo to play, but we don't actually know. We don't actually know. People sleeping on Gordon. He's on pens now. Yeah, he hasn't actually scored an open play goal for Newcastle in the league in some crazy amount of months. Like this calendar year, he's only scored one open play goal for Newcastle. So despite the fact that he's on pens, he needs to do more open play stuff as well. So I wouldn't be buying Anthony Gordon at the moment, I don't think. I don't think he's a dreadful pick. I don't think he's a bad pick, but I don't think he's like a definite buy this week. Would I bench boost with Timber and Rice in the team or switch Timber to Hincape? Rice, I think you'll probably be okay. My general consensus with Rice and Timber is if you're on the bench boost, take away the players that you think definitely might not start. And if the remaining bench will score you a minimum of 10, then still play the bench boost. But so that's probably the way that I would do it. Ghana did not qualify. So Semenyo is not going to AFCON. No. Kudos also not going. Yakuba Minter, different nationality, but also not going to AFCON either. Feast has asked, would I bench boost with Dubravka, Van der Ven, Renildo, Guiu with Timber and Rice flagged? Van der Ven away at Forest, Renildo at home, Guiu. Probably not with both Timber and Rice flagged. Like, I don't think that bench is that great on its own. Start 2 of Dewsbury Hall, Minter, Saliba and O'Reilly. Dewsbury Hall, Minter, Saliba and O'Reilly. Start 2. Saliba, definitely. I don't expect him to play, but Saliba. And then probably O'Reilly. And then Minter and then Dewsbury Hall, probably in that order. I am a Chelsea fan. I don't expect today's game to be particularly high scoring, though. I think we might see a start for Cole Palmer alongside Esteval today, which would be very exciting. Gordon's hit the post 4 times in the past 2 games. Yeah, he does look better. He does look better than he has done, but... Sell V for Harry to either Rice or Szoboszlai. So, Szoboszlai is a really interesting one. He's on 4 yellows. I think that's the only negative I can say about Szoboszlai at the moment, is that he is on 4 yellows. I would be a little bit cautious of that. The reason being is the game that you really are buying Szoboszlai for is game week 18 and game week 19, which is Wolves at home, Leeds at home. Brighton and Spurs in the next 2 is good. It's not incredible, but it's still pretty good. The issue you've got is, let's say he gets through the Brighton game and gets booked against Spurs, and then he misses the Wolves game. Now, you can just sell him, and you could just bench him and keep him for the following games, but that's the issue, right? Like, you'd feel a bit annoyed if you get to Wolves at home and suddenly he's suspended. You'd feel like it's not the best use of the transfer. Now, he could do well in the next 2 and still get suspended, and then it's fine, right? But, yeah. So, I am looking at... The reason this is relevant is I've got Enzo Fernandez in my team. And I could go straight to Szoboszlai. Or I could go to someone for a couple of weeks before I go to Szoboszlai and buy Szoboszlai for Wolves at home, as long as he hasn't picked up that yellow card. Or he picks it up against Brighton and is suspended against Spurs. So I do have a plan. I do have a plan to buy Szoboszlai in 18, but I probably am not going to risk it this week. Szoboszlai on a lot of set pieces now. He's also got a decent penalty share as well. Took a penalty midweek, and with Alexander Isak maybe having a claim to them, not being able to play a lot, Salah going to AFCON, Szoboszlai on set pieces and on penalties and playing very well is a nice option at a cheap price. If I have on Burmo, Timber, and in my starting 11, with the bench of Dubravka, Calvert-Lewin, Mukiele and Aqua, would I bench boost? Bench boosting with Mbermo is difficult because you might not get him. I expect you will, and I expect that bench looks probably good enough, so I would consider that, yes, Mahmoud. The 4 yellows is the big thing for Szoboszlai. Plus, Liverpool have not been great, right? So, as a result, if I want to pick someone in my to buy before I buy Szoboszlai, 1 million in the bank from the Mateta transfer. All players, midfielders. Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Look who I can just afford. I sold him last week. Everyone's going to say, Harry, you literally just sold him. Why are you buying him back? But I would argue that since I sold him, I've had a 12-pointer from Foden. So it does pay for itself. He might drop today. That's the only annoying thing. He's predicted to drop in price. Yeah, he's predicted to drop. Who are we looking for? Semenyo. He's predicted to drop in price tonight, which just doesn't, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But someone said refresh because the flag has gone on Timber, but it hasn't. Sorry, there we go. Yeah, flag is still there. There was no reason for it to be removed. So I have exact money to go Enzo to Semenyo. And then in 18, if Szoboszlai hasn't picked up a yellow card, I can go Szoboszlai. I can go Semenyo to Szoboszlai. But if Szoboszlai has picked up his yellow card, then Semenyo goes away to Bournemouth that week. So that's not the end of the world. Raya and Enzo to Kelleher and Rice, higher ceiling. It does. There is just a risk that Rice doesn't start. There's just that risk. The issue is they can't really play without Norgard and without Timber and Rice. I mean, they did midweek, but Norgard would play centre mid. Zubamendi, I suppose, Eze, Odegaard. But yeah, like I don't mind those moves. If they were all available, I have considered selling Raya myself in order to buy Rice. But yeah, let's see. Thoughts on Marino, and I don't think I'd buy Marino. I don't think it's guaranteed he starts. Cunha on free hit, I don't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't go Marino. I don't think there's any guarantee he starts. You don't have Bruno or Foden. Which would I prioritise? And you'll get the other next week. I think Bruno's better this week. I think the fixture's better. You could get both for all 5. I just buy. I mean, it depends who you're selling, but I would consider just buying both. I would, yeah. Thank you all for joining, by the way. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you all very much for joining. Palmer, I expect to be back in the Chelsea squad this week, but yeah, he still can't play enough minutes. Yeah. I wouldn't be buying Palmer. Thoughts on Gyökeres on free hit? I wouldn't be. I mean, I think he might start. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying Gyökeres on free hit. I don't think that's a good use of Arsenal. I think there's better Arsenal picks. I'd rather Eze, Saka, Lewis Skelly, Ben White over him. I think that's at least four better picks than Gyökeres on free hit for Arsenal. Do I see a clean sheet in the Chelsea game? I think it will be low scoring. I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of 1-0. Either way, to be honest. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a clean sheet in that game. Do I think Saka will start? Well, I hope so. He's currently got the Captaincy armband for me. He got a full rest. Well, he got rest midweek. Did he even come on midweek? Did he even come on? I feel like that's something I should probably know. Madueke did come off. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He came on 15 minutes only. And he's got a free midweek afterwards. I don't think he'll play 90, but yeah. Why didn't I check prices on Enzo and Semenyo? I did. The only reason I couldn't, I would have sold Enzo to Semenyo in 15 when I did Semenyo to Foden. I would have done Enzo to Foden, but I couldn't until I did Mateta to Thiago to get the money. And now that I've done Mateta to Thiago, I can now afford to go Foden and Semenyo, which I couldn't have afforded it last week. Gordon is good from 19. Wouldn't own him before. Well, that's the thing. That Enzo Fernandez spot, in a couple of weeks, I definitely will have a look at a Newcastle midfielder from 19. I like their upcoming fixtures from 19, particularly Newcastle. From Burnley away, Palace at home, Leeds at home. I could go Semenyo for United, Burnley, Szoboszlai for Wolves, where's Liverpool? Szoboszlai for Wolves, and then potentially for Leeds, and then to a Newcastle midfielder from 20 onwards. Their fixtures look pretty good, so I could have a look at that. I mean, I could just go for the Newcastle midfielder now and just hope that he gets close enough, but I quite like with the 5 free transfers targeting a couple of these fixtures. Yeah. Because, if Szoboszlai gets his 5th yellow, then I just keep Semenyo from United, Burnley, Brentford, and then go to Newcastle on Burnley, Palace, Leeds, and just not go Szoboszlai for a week in 18 and just save the extra transfer. It might depend on how much more I've got to do. If I get to 60, if I get to 17, 18, and I've suddenly got other transfers I need to make, then I'll probably just keep Semenyo for that extra week away at Brentford, which I think is fine, and then go to Newcastle in the week after. Of course, I could do the opposite and just go Szoboszlai now and save the transfer. It's just the 4 yellows. It's just the 4 yellows. Spurs away, followed by the good game at home to Wolves. That's the issue. Anderson in midfield 5 or Raul Jimenez. I'll start Raul Jimenez this week if you've got him. You've waited and done and Burmo to Foden and saved selling Semenyo. Was this wise? Just worried on AFCON. I might buy Semenyo this week. FPL Verts. Yeah. He might be my Enzo replacement. I just don't fancy Enzo. And as a Chelsea fan, it's double whammy when we lose and he blanks as well. And the thing is, I'm going to have to sell Semenyo. I'm going to have to sell Enzo next week anyway. Going to have to sell Enzo next week anyway. And if I then look at replacements for Enzo next week, who am I buying in 17? I mean, I could take a 1 week punt on City, but then it's probably Bournemouth. It probably is Semenyo next week, right? I mean, there are others I could look at. Newcastle at home to Chelsea. I could go to Fulham, but I've already missed the Burnley game for them. City, I've already got Kevin Schade I could go to. Brentford is a possibility. But outside of that, I just think Semenyo will be the obvious replacement next week when I've got the money for it. It's just whether I think, I could wait and do the transfer once Semenyo might drop in price. And then I gain 0.1 in value, but yeah. Semenyo might fall in price tonight, yeah. Yeah, I'm aware. It's a bit annoying, but I got 4 transfers left still. I've only used 1. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think my team looks all right at the moment, just depending on whether Timber's available or not. If not, I just take Richards off the bench. Free hit 18 or 19, you'll triple captain 17. It depends on what your team looks like for both those weeks. It's quite difficult. I don't think either of them are particularly great. I think 18 if you don't have any Liverpool, 18 for triple Liverpool at home to Wolves is not a bad option. If not, then 19. Which defenders am I targeting to get soon? An Everton defender. Everton having a Tarkowski or a Keane. Sorry, wrong tab. Having a Tarkowski or a Keane from 18 onwards is what I'm looking at. Their fixtures for a long time are great. The issue I've got is I would like Keane, but there was a report that Branthwaite is apparently back training on the grass. Now, that probably puts a seed of doubt in my mind about Keane. Because as much as Keane's been good this season, like Branthwaite is the one who played in that position over Keane. Yeah. But an Everton defender is my next big priority. It could be City, but I still think they leak too many goals. I much prefer an Everton DEFCON centre-back, I think. So going to Keane or Tarkowski from 18 is one I'm looking at. It could be once I get to 19 or 20 and I sell Van Dijk instead. And I go Van Dijk to Tarkowski. But I think I'll be looking at a Newcastle defender for that replacement as well. So there's a few things in there. Newcastle and Everton, potentially, later down the line. Anderson and like Van Dijk to Tarkowski and Dan Burn or something like that. Yeah, that's what I've got planned. Anyway, back to some questions in the chat. Salah on free hit. I don't think there's a guarantee he starts, so I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be spending the money on it. Like, I still think I'd rather Haaland on free hit than Salah. I don't think Brighton at home is an incredible game for him regardless. Burma or Eze or Rice. Long-term Rice. Long-term Rice as well. Yeah. Triple captain Saka. I still prefer Haaland at home to West Ham next week. I'm not sure I trust Saka enough to triple captain him this week, if I'm honest. It's not a bad differential. I actually think it's the second best triple captaincy option left this season is this week. I think Haaland at home to West Ham. That's my plan anyway. My plan next week is triple captain Haaland. Home to West Ham in next week. Yeah, Semenyo forecasted for a price drop, which is quite annoying. I could just keep Enzo for a week, wait for Semenyo to drop, and then buy Semenyo on Sunday. I could just do that. But I don't know once people's game updates for next week and they see he's got Burnley at home, if he will necessarily drop. Because he hasn't hit the threshold yet. Ooh. He hasn't hit... This is the thing. He hasn't hit the threshold. So he needs to hit that threshold before the deadline. Because if he doesn't, and the game updates, no one's selling Semenyo in 17. Well, some people will, but no one really. There's not going to be mass transfers to make it hit that high level next week. Because everyone will load in and see he's got Burnley at home, and then they're not going to be selling him next week. So he needs to hit that threshold by the deadline, which is, unlikely, I think. Well, we can keep an eye on it, but it might end up that he doesn't drop. If he doesn't hit that 100, minus 100 by the deadline, I don't think he'll drop because no one's selling him this afternoon, really. Chelsea defence from Game Week 21. Will I fit Palmer in your Game Week 22 team? I will have a look back at Chelsea. I'm not sure. If I'm going to buy Palmer, it'll be in place of Saka. But from 21, 22 onwards, the fixtures are good. If you want a defender, it'll be Chalobah. So if you need a defender this week, you could just go Chalobah because the fixtures are not bad. You can play him Everton at home, Villa at home, Bournemouth at home. And then from 21 onwards, the fixtures are pretty good again. So it's not the worst thing to go Chalobah if you've got an issue with Daniel Munoz. What's the news on Senesi? It was apparently just cramp. We don't know if he's available, but normally players recover in that time with cramp, so I would expect him to play. Enzo to Bruno Guimaraes for exact money in the bank this week. I'd probably wait, and I'd probably consider doing it this evening. But I don't think it's necessarily better this week. Which chip is the best to play in 16? If I had all the chips, free hit's probably always the most powerful. So probably that. Free hit with 2 Arsenal defence or 2 mids. I'd go with 2 defenders because I think the attackers from other teams are also good, whereas I don't think the defence comes as close. Why is no one mentioning Thiago for captain? I think he's number 3 in my captaincy ranking, so I do like him as an option. I just still not certain that I'd love Thiago as a captain. I'm not sure I feel it's reliable enough. Still, I just won't be captaining Thiago, I don't think. Collins is on 4 yellow cards. Yes, he's a great free hit pick. Just be a little bit cautious. So a few of you have asked me, this is FPL Focal's website, fpl.page, and I use it to track like DEFCON and stuff during the game. It's really useful. It has like really up-to-date DEFCON that you can track, and I sort of pin that. But also you can check in the menu suspensions. So if I go min 5% and have a look. So Szoboszlai on 4 yellows, Donnarumma 4 yellows, Burn, Bruno Guimaraes 3 yellows, 3 yellows. One of those will get booked this weekend, I'm sure. Semenyo on 3, but I can at least get through the Burnley game with him. Brian Mbeumo 3, Tarkowski 3, Elliot Anderson 3, Van Dijk 3. So I've got Anderson, Foden, Van Dijk, Thiago all on 3, plus Semenyo. I might have 4 players in my team on 3 yellows this week. Hopefully they don't all get booked this week, because that could be a bit of an issue. Imagine Anderson yellow, Foden yellow, Van Dijk. To be honest, Anderson's all right, because in a couple of weeks I'll just sell him to Dewsbury Hall. This is called FPL.page. It's FPL Focal's website. It's got a lot of very useful stuff on as well. Free hit goalkeeper that isn't Raya, Sanchez probably. Sanchez sits second for clean sheets projected this week. Is there a chance Saka gets benched? I mean, there's always a possibility, right? Could they use this as an opportunity to give Saka a sort of week and a half, 2-week rest from playing loads of minutes? Yes. Has Madueke been playing well? Yes, it is possible. But the rest midweek followed by a free midweek after means I would be a bit surprised if we see a Saka rest, if I'm honest. But yeah. Out of interest, how many chips have you got left? Just a number rather than chips. So 1, 2, 3, or 4, including 1 if you're playing it this week. So if you're playing your free hit this week, still put 1 rather than 0. 4, 0, 2, 1, 3. Wow, there's people with lots of 2, 2, 2. There's quite a lot of people with 2, quite a lot of people with 1. A few people out of chips. I would say 1 is the average here. 1s, 0, 1s, 2s. Bench boost with Dubravka, Isidore, Mukiele, Goodmanson. Yes. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think this is this or 18 are my favourite weeks, depending on what players you've got. I like 18 because you've got Leeds play Sunderland, so most of us have 1 or 2 of them. And then you've also got, I think, Burnley have Everton at home that week. So I think it's a good week, 18, for free hit. For free hit, for bench boost. Why are Fulham players on your radar? Are any Fulham players on my radar besides Wilson? Yeah, I mean, I've already got Elliot. I've already got Anderson in defence, and I like Raul Jimenez if you need a forward, and he's quite cheap as well. He just doesn't feel that explosive at the moment. Like, Fulham are not scoring a hell of a lot of goals. I realise next week, something I'm very excited for. Probably too excited, but still at the same time, very, very excited. Game week 17, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Have you seen what the fixture is in game week 17? Are we ready? It is the Anderson Derby on Monday night, and I'm going to have both of them. Anderson against Anderson, Monday night. There'll be like 0.4 players left for the average player. I'm going to have 2 of them. Anderson against Anderson, Monday night football, under the lights. What is more exciting than that? The big Anderson Derby. That is box office. I think Sky should call it the Anderson Derby. One against the other. Who will come out on top? Who is the best? And which is the best Anderson? Absolute cinema. Triple captain Saka. I prefer next week on Haaland. Why Richards first on the bench and not Rodon? I don't love Leeds away from home, and he's not been as good for DEFCON recently. Whereas, sorry, that's Thiago. Richards is just better for DEFCON. Every week he hits it. My DEFCON. Look at that. I mean, he doesn't hit it every week, but he's pretty good for it. Yeah. Who is the best Anderson? Well, we'll find out next week. Yeah, that's how E versus O, the Anderson derby. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna free hit team. If you want free hit or wildcard, I do free hit and wildcard in the complete guide video on a Friday afternoon. So if you're playing either of those chips, I would go and check out the most recent video on my channel, and it will have a free hit and a wildcard. Nothing's changed since I did them, so I don't think anything would change from what I did there. Yeah. Let me take a look. Start Dewsbury Hall over Voltemada. Voltemada has had poor returns. He has. I still think I'd play Voltemada, though. I still think I'd play Voltemada over Dewsbury Hall. Not every week, but this week I think I would. The Everton fixtures, right, from 18 onwards, just are so good. Dewsbury Hall is almost certainly coming into my team from 18 onwards. Look at this. Burnley away, Forest at home, Brentford at home, Wolves at home, Villa away, Leeds at home, Brighton away, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, United at home, Newcastle away, Burnley at home. You can play your Everton players pretty much every single week. Like, maybe away at Villa's not perfect, but I genuinely think for a lot of people, game week 18, just buy like Dewsbury Hall or buy a defender and just leave them. Like, I'm going to just buy Dewsbury Hall probably as my fifth mid. It might be in place of Elliot Anderson. It might be in that Enzo Fernandez spot, depending on what I want to do up front. And I just play him and leave him. Like, his data's really good. His returns are looking good. Like, he's averaging 0.32 XGI per 90. It's just the Chelsea and Arsenal in the next two that put me off buying him in the first place. So, yeah, I really, really like those fixtures. If you're looking for a midfielder at any point, I would just strongly consider that. Eze for captain, what do I think? Yeah, I mean, he got a rest midweek, so I quite like him as a punt. Yeah, nothing on Timber, unfortunately. I know that sometimes they go on a pre-game walk, Arsenal. He goes on a pre-game walk. But, yeah. I don't think it's happened yet. And I haven't seen anyone post it. Yeah, nothing on the walk yet. It's because it's a late game. How about Grealish? So I think Grealish is fine, but he's $1.5 million more than Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall arguably has more goal threat. He's on some set pieces. The question is, who takes Everton pens while Illiman and Dye is at AFCON? That's the question. If it's Dewsbury Hall, he suddenly becomes practically the best player in the game for like 4 weeks while Ndai is away. Imagine Dewsbury Hall on set pieces, pens. Is a bit like Szoboszlai, just suddenly doing anything. Yeah, Arsenal don't play until 8. I think we probably won't find anything on them. We do well to find anything on them when they're the early kickoff, let alone the late one. Yeah, Barry could be an interesting punt up front. Differential once that happens. He looks like he's nailed down that number 1 spot at Everton. Free hit best defenders that isn't Arsenal. Chelsea and Brentford. So I'd probably go. I had Sanchez Collins on the free hit. Sanchez in goal, Collins in defence. Yeah. Waylon, would I Mbermo to Saka and Munoz to O'Reilly or play Burn and Mbermo? If you can do Mbermo to Saka and Munoz to O'Reilly, I'd do that. Because I think Mbermo to Saka is an upgrade. You don't run the risk of Mbermo. And Munoz to O'Reilly is a transfer you're going to want to do. And then you've got O'Reilly in place from next week. What to do with Tarkowski? I'd definitely be keeping him now. once you get to game week 18, he's going to be really popular. Depending on the Branthwaite update, if Branthwaite's close, then Tarkowski will be really popular. If Branthwaite is still a way off, then there'll be a split between Tarkowski and Keane. So yeah, I'd be keeping Tarkowski now. Where's Bowen on the benching ranking? That is a good question. He's probably pretty high up. I'd probably play him over most of them. Like, I probably wouldn't play him over the Arsenal duo, but apart from that, I probably would. If you're looking for where to use your price change data from, I would strongly recommend the live FPL or the Fantasy Football Scout one. They should be both linked in the description. They are the number one ranked price change predictor going for every month so far this season. There is a website which tracks price changes for every site, and it ranks them depending on accuracy. And that live FPL Fantasy Football Scout one, which is the same, like it's exactly the same data. You can use either site, completely free. You don't even need an account, a membership. Just put live FPL price changes or Fantasy Football Scout price changes into Google. It's the number one ranked, and it has been every single month so far this season. I don't think anyone should be using any other price change predictor when it is the number one most accurate. And there's a lot going on at the moment, and they had even a very good night of it last night as well with predictions I saw as well. O'Reilly or Waltemada this weekend? I'd start Waltemada over O'Reilly. Will O'Reilly start? Yeah, I don't see any reason why he won't. Why not Matty Cash for this week? I still think West Ham away is not the easiest fixture. I don't love Villa defensively. I think they're good, but I mean, some of their data is a little bit outdated because they were really bad at the start, but they're 14th over the last 6 and 14th over the season for expected goals conceded, which just isn't great. Now, West Ham's attacking data is not great, 15th over the season and 13th over the last 6. But, yeah. Am I going to triple captain Saka? No. Captaincy is enough for me. Triple captain Haaland next week. 17 at home to West Ham was always the plan. I will consider Foden very briefly next week and then put it on Haaland. But very briefly, I'll consider Foden. Van der Ven or Tarkowski. Long term, Tarkowski is a better pick. This week, I'd be more inclined to play Van der Ven, but Everton have been great defensively. Palmer for a differential, I wouldn't. He's not looking fully fit at the moment, and he won't play more than about 60 today anyway. Any thoughts on Thiago triple captain for a differential? I still think you should triple captain the player you expect to score the most points. I don't hate the Thiago shout, but yeah, I think I'd rather Saka this week, and I'd rather Haaland next week. Yeah, Foden brace and Haaland blank next week, confirmed. Yeah, quite possibly. It happened when everyone did it in game week 13 on the triple captain. There have been those 3 weeks for Haaland that people have gone with the triple captaincy. It was always the same 3. It was Leeds at home, Sunderland at home, and West Ham at home. And at the moment, Haaland has blanked in both of the first 2. The only one left is the West Ham at home game. Fingers crossed he doesn't blank again. Fingers crossed. Is Ekatike likely to play 80 plus this week? Probably. Don't Liverpool have a free midweek? Aren't they out of the cup? So, yeah, I mean, there's not much to rest him for. Especially with Isak not being able to play loads of them. Yeah, Burnley away in game week 6 or wherever it was. If you went on Haaland that week, you did pretty well from it. Yeah, that was a while ago, though. Out of the ones that people were left with, it was those 3 home games. Stick with Reinders. I'd be looking to sell him. If you want to hold him for a couple of games, hope he starts West Ham and then sell him to Dewsbury Hall. I think that's a fine strategy, but would I start and die or Dewsbury Hall? I'd start and die over Dewsbury Hall any week, but from next week and die will be off at AFCON. Game week 23, Haaland has Wolves. Yep, but you have to use all of your chips by game week 19 before we get the new one. So Game week 23 would fall into the second half of the season chips. Am I sure Saka will start against a bad Wolves side? If he'd have started midweek, there's no way I'd be captaining Saka. If he'd have played and started midweek. But like the other thing with players like Saka is you can't just play Saka in all the difficult games. You've got to play him in some of the more straightforward games to try and get him goals, get him rhythm. You can't just save him. We're not going to play you when we think we can win, and we'll just play you in all of the hard games. Like, it doesn't work like that. Players have to play other games to get momentum for when they play harder games as well. Thoughts on Eze this week? I think Eze's a great pick this week. On free hit, I'd probably consider it. If I wasn't going double defense, I'd probably go Eze Saka. Where would Guiu land on my start or bench list? Probably at the bottom. I don't think he'll start. And even if he does start, I wouldn't be picking him. Does Timber start? I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. I'm hopeful that he does, but it feels like a game where they could just not play him. Yeah. I think I'm just going to keep him, though. He's been an absolutely dreadful -4. Yeah, I just got to hope he plays, but yeah. I'm not going to sell him, I don't think. The only thing I have wondered about is selling him, is doing Timber to someone like O'Reilly and Enzo to Rice. Get myself the double Arsenal mids and then not worry about going back and forth on Rice every week and Semenyo to someone else. But I don't think I can do that with the information that we've got at the moment. Rice is probably going to be fine. He was ill midweek, so we don't know guaranteed, but Rice should be okay. That's the other issue. Like, if I knew Rice was definitely going to play, then I really would consider those, but it feels like a bit of a gamble to sell Timber for Rice when it could be one of them playing and not the other one. Would I play Timber, Welbeck, and bench and die, or go Timber to Hincapié and die to Semenyo and bench Welbeck? Like, I'm not sure. If Timber to Hincapié gets you the money for and die to Semenyo, then I probably would, yeah. You have Malek, Chaël, Van Dijk, and Anderson in defence. You have 0.7 in the bank, and there are only changes do I recommend you do. You've got Van Dijk, Chaël, Anderson. I think that's fine this week. Yeah, I mean, you could always have a... Like, you could do Chaël to Hincapié if you wanted, but... Newcastle, game week 19, triple captain at home to Wolves. Is that who they've got? No, Bruno, you mean? Oh, Bruno. Why did I think you meant Bruno Guimaraes when you said Bruno? Yeah, if you still save the triple captain, Bruno Fernandes at home to Wolves in game week 19. I'll add that to my list from next week, probably. With free hit, which Arsenal are the best? I'd go from 2 of Lewis Skelly, Ben White, Eze, Saka. I'd go from 3 of those 4. Depending if you want double attack or double defense. I'd probably rank it like this. Saka, Eze, Ben White, Lewis Skelly. But the other attackers are better than the other defenders, so that's up to you. Triple on Saka this week or Haaland next. Yeah, there's lots of people on triple captain this week. I'm saving it. I'd rather Bruno in 18, I think, than Saka this week. 19 than I think this week. Your plan on O'Reilly, I might end up... Yeah, I mean, I don't expect... The thing is, I don't need a defender next week. I've got Anderson at home to Forest. I've got Timber away at Everton. And I've got Richards away at Leeds with Rodon at home to Palace. And Van Dijk away at Spurs. I don't really need a defender next week. And if I'm not buying for West Ham at home, I'm probably not buying O'Reilly. But he does look a good pick. You're 0.1 short of Riley next week. Yeah, there's been so many price changes. Start Dubravka or Henderson. They should both be in my goalkeeper benching ranking, which will be up for you in just a moment. You need to bench one of Raul Jimenez, Wilson, Doku, Semenyo, Szoboszlai. Probably Doku away at Palace. The only thing with Doku is if he plays left wing against Nathaniel Klein, he could have some joy there. But I think I'd bench Doku. Xhaka to Wilson of Fulham. Yeah. If you've got a cheap midfielder spot, I would be planning on having it as Dewsbury Hall from 18. So if you want to go Harry Wilson as a couple of week punt, then I don't have an issue with that. Don't have an issue. If I have the money, would I go for Eze as a 1 week punt and then sell him next week for Semenyo? Yeah. I just don't have the Arsenal spot open. I'd have to sell Timber to do that. I mean, I'd have to do Timber to like O'Reilly, Eze in for Enzo. And then again next week, it's just using up a lot of transfers that I don't really want to do in my situation. But yes, for you, it could work. There's been no news on Timber, unfortunately. Yeah. It's just such a game that if it was a more difficult game, then I think they'd be more inclined. I'm more inclined to say he starts. It's just the fact that, no offense to Wolves, like, don't want to particularly beat Wolves while they're down, but I think it could easily win without most of their first choice lineup if they wanted to. Like, they could rest everyone, and I still think they'd win. They could rest Raya. I actually wondered if Raya wouldn't start. If Semenyo scores versus United, it's guaranteed triple price rise this week. Yeah, potentially. Potentially. Minter or Harry Wilson, Szoboszlai, Palmer, Bruno. I'd sell Minter. I think Bruno Fernandes is the best option there. I wouldn't buy Palmer. Yeah. What about Saliba? 3 Arsenal. I don't think Saliba starts. I'd be surprised if Saliba starts. Sounds like the injury is worse than they're telling us, but they just don't want to be like, oh, he's injured for a while, because then everyone's going to be like, Arsenal without Saliba and Gabriel. Wow. And I just don't think they want that. So I just think he might be broken like Gabriel is. It's just nowhere to be seen. So Ben White's probably all right short term. I don't think I'd do it though. Right, 1 hour to go to the deadline. As always, please, we're going to put it into subscriber only mode. You literally will have need to have subscribed for 1 minute to start using the chat again. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you haven't also, there are 5,000 of you watching who haven't liked the stream. If we could try and hit 1,000 after the first hour, that would be great. So if you could like and not leave it for someone else, that'd be great. And subscribe as well. Thank you all very much. JP, yes. Pope to Raya and Alderete to Vandenberg, or Pope to Kelleher and Alderete to Cash. I'd go Vandenberg. Raya. There is a chance that Pope is back next week. And the Newcastle fixtures don't look bad from next week. So if you've got Pope, you could just hold him, play Dubravka and see if Pope's back. Sorry, I've got something at the back of my throat. I might need a moment. I think I'm all right. Let's see. I'm going to triple captain Haaland next week. Why Saka, not Haaland? I just think this week is a good week. I think the projections are that Arsenal will beat Wolves by more than City will beat Palace by. Are Chelsea finally going to start winning again? Probably not until January. Every December hits and we lose games. Is Dubravka finally going to rise in price? Dubravka, I don't think he's risen once, has he? He still hasn't. It's because everyone already owned him at the start of the season. Vintax, Rodon to Vandenberg, 5 mid, Saka, Minter, Dewsbury Hall, Foden, Bruno, or back 4, Timber, Anderson. I'm not sure I do Rodon to Vandenberg. Sorry, let's refresh this and let's have a look at how Semenyo is tracking. It hasn't updated yet. Maybe it will update at 1. But Semenyo hasn't hit the threshold yet. I think he has to hit that threshold by the deadline in order to drop. I don't think he'll hit it if he doesn't hit it before the deadline. He's only progressing at minus 3% an hour as well, so he'd do well to get above 95 by the deadline. We might get away with it on Semenyo because he'll end up being transferred in. Timber is a difficult one. I'm just going to hope he plays, and if not, I'm going to get Richards off the bench. But at least Timber plays before Richards, so I'll know what I want when Richards plays. I want a Richards clean sheet because I'm not captaining Haaland. I don't know on Timber. I mean, I'm just going to start him. I mean, of course, there's a chance that he's on the bench, but yeah. Harry Wilson, I like. He's a nice cheap option if you've got someone and you need a cheap option in midfield, or you need just a short-term punt and you don't know who to buy. Absolutely. Harry Wilson is a nice short-term fix. Did they fix the O'Reilly? Did they? I really hope they did. They did! That is really exciting. They fixed the O'Reilly bug. That is exciting. That is. Happy days. It was on trending on Twitter yesterday. It was on my top news. Today's news. Basically, the apostrophe in O'Reilly's name wasn't the normal apostrophe on a keyboard. So if you searched O apostrophe, O'Reilly didn't come up. Yeah, that's basically it. That was the issue. Sorry, I'm just gonna... One sec. Would I start Declan Rice? Yes. If you've got Arsenal players who are flagged, I wouldn't be benching them. I'd be playing them and hoping they start. Risk Enzo to Rice now. Gvardiol versus O'Reilly next game week. Risk Enzo to Rice now. Sorry, risk Enzo to Rice now or Gvardiol versus O'Reilly next week. I'm not sure I'd buy Rice. I don't think. Guardiola versus O'Reilly next game week. Probably O'Reilly. I do just want to get a tweet up. Right. So, this is not guaranteed news, but I just need to talk about it from potential Szoboszlai, right? So, Spy on Cop is normally pretty in the know with Liverpool teams and Liverpool news, right? Apparently, this is the team that they're going with. Gravenberch, Curtis, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and Ekatike, which would put Szoboszlai on pens for the whole game, or while Isak is on the bench. Apparently, Isak's not starting. Now, does that make Szoboszlai a better pick than Semenyo? Is Szoboszlai a better pick than Semenyo? That's interesting. If that was to be the case, I don't know. I like the Semenyo pick. It's just the 4 yellows, but do I just hope he doesn't get them? Eze or Rice for the free hit? I'd go Eze on free hit. Goodmanson first sub or Keane? I'd probably put Keane first sub. Risk Enzo, yeah, I wouldn't do. Got Lacroix, 5 free transfers, 0.2. O'Reilly, Anderson, or Skelly in. I'd probably go Anderson or O'Reilly. Probably probably O'Reilly, actually. Yeah, but it looks like Salah and Isak will both be in the squad, so he doesn't have pens for the whole game. But we don't know if Szoboszlai will take them over Isak. We just presume he won't take them over Salah, because Salah's always taken them. It's just if I'm going to go Szoboszlai for Wolves at home, I'm just wondering if Semenyo's definitely worth the extra transfer for 2 weeks. Like this week, there's probably not much in it. Next week, Semenyo is definitely better. And then from the week after, Szoboszlai's better. If Szoboszlai wasn't on 4 yellows, I think I'd just do it. Would I go Chelsea defense? I'd probably just go Sanchez in goal if I was on free hit. Yeah, I wouldn't double up, but I'd probably have one of them. Do I think Mark Guiu starts? No. He's just last on my bench. I think the thing is with Mark Guiu is even if he is going to start or has a chance of starting, that doesn't mean he does anything when he's on the pitch. I wouldn't be doing anything with that. Bruno Guimaraes or Saka for a hit. I wouldn't sell Bruno Guimaraes, but I'd probably just go Bruno G. Free hit 16, which 3? 1, Sanchez, Chalobah, Eze. 2, Raya, Anderson, Cunha, Sanchez, Lewis, Scully. I'd go Sanchez, Chalobah, Eze. I really like the Eze pick. By Hincapié and Semenyo or O'Reilly and Eze. Hincapié and Semenyo is better long term, I'd say. That has really got me tempted to just go straight to Szoboszlai. I can't believe they fixed the O'Reilly thing. That's good, that. And Burma or Foden on free hit. I wouldn't go in Burma on free hit. There's the risk that he doesn't play, but he's not allowed to. Yeah. I'd go Foden over Mbama on free hit. Malo Gusto thoughts. I don't think it's guaranteed he starts today. I wouldn't buy Gusto. I'd always buy Chalobah. If you ever need a Chelsea defender, it's Chalobah. Am I keeping Timber? Yes. Rice or Szoboszlai, I better buy this week. Probably Szoboszlai. Because I think the other Arsenal spot, like if you tell me the combination is Rice and another defender or Szoboszlai and an Arsenal defender, I'd probably pick the Szoboszlai route. Yeah. That has really got me tempted on Szoboszlai. Just saves myself a transfer. Right, let's get Plan FPL up and let's do... The thing is, it's always easy to say, oh, well, I've got the transfers, but I might not always have the transfers. But so if I go, let's say I just go straight to Szoboszlai, right? And then next week I'm probably going to roll. Almost certainly going to roll. Szoboszlai would play over Rodon, probably bench Van Dijk, something like that. I probably would roll next week. And then in 18, it will be buying Everton players. So it will be like Anderson potentially to Dewsbury Hall. It's just, do I think that Semenyo is better over the next 2 games in saving a transfer? Do I think Szoboszlai will 100% get a yellow in the Spurs game? That's my issue. Is the Spurs game is the one I think he's most likely to get booked in. Which would be annoying. Which would definitely be annoying. Semenyo is miles clear of him, in your opinion. I don't know. I'm not sure he is. I'm not sure he is. If he gets booked, he doesn't save you a transfer. That is the thing. He doesn't save me a transfer if he gets booked, because I still then have to then deal with it. Yeah, you're not wrong. How come I'm not considering Anderson to Wilson? It's just I don't want to make loads of these little transfers. I know I've got lots of transfers in the bank, but as you see in sort of game week 18, 19, I've got a few things I want to do, like looking at Everton, and that's more important to me than doing that now, I think. No early news on anyone at the moment. No. Should I keep Illiman and Die for this week? I think he's fine. If you can sell and if you could do and die to Szoboszlai, I probably would. Thing is, right, I often say that people overestimate in FPL the appeal of a single fixture. Like, how many times over the years, I particularly remember it with Harry Kane. I also remember it with Harry Kane that people always used to buy him, particularly for like 1 week. He'd have one great game, like Burnley at home. And it never used to really come to that much. People underestimate what a player can do over a consecutive bit of games, but also overestimate what a player can do in a specific good fixture. Now, that doesn't really help because I'm targeting Szoboszlai really for Wolves at home, but I'm also targeting Semenyo specifically for Burnley at home next week. So, do I underestimate what Szoboszlai could do over the next 4? Potentially, but I think the next 2 are easier for Semenyo than they are for the next 2 are easier for Semenyo over than Szoboszlai. It's just, do I want to commit that extra transfer? But Semenyo's clearly better. I mean, he hasn't had a return since like game week 7. That's the thing that's an issue with Semenyo. The returns are not there, and he's a very streaky player. But anyway, I'm going to sell Enzo, I think. I'm pretty certain I'm going to sell Enzo. It's just whether I buy Szoboszlai or Semenyo. Why aren't I mentioning Calvert-Lewin this week? I'm rarely going to ever discuss or recommend buying Calvert-Lewin because he sometimes will get a couple of games where he scores goals and then it will dry up again. I know he's nice and cheap, but I'd rather Raul Jimenez or I'd rather Mark Guiu and just play a two up front. He's due a new streak, and maybe, the thing is, if Man United are suddenly without, let's say Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui are not available for United, and then he plays Burnley at home, like those two are pretty good. Now, if United do have all of their AFCON players, which is probably likely, then he's not quite as good. But will Rice play? I expect he does, yeah. Enzo replacement. If you can't afford Semenyo, I'd probably just take the risk on Szoboszlai's yellows. Not going to lie, if I go Semenyo, I'll be hoping he gets booked in either of the next two. So then in 17, I can buy him, and or 18, I can buy him risk free. Right. You have Mbeumo and Rice and 2 free transfers. Your bench is also weak with Senesi and Timber flagged. I wouldn't bench Timber, but yes. Do I go for Saka and Wilson for Rice and Mbeumo? For free, I quite like those moves. Yeah, I quite like it if it gives you Saka, and I like Wilson. And then if Wilson's your only cheap mid, and then you can go Wilson to Dewsbury Hall in a couple of weeks. Yeah, big time. Oh, Spike, let me take a look. Enzo to Rice or Voltemada to Guiu and Enzo to Saka. Or I prefer the Saka route. If that just gives you the nice cheap option on the bench every week. Who to bench? Szoboszlai, Raul Jimenez or Dango? I mean, I'd want them all, but I'd probably bench Jimenez. I think he's the least explosive of those. Dango I would definitely play. Enzo to Gordon, I don't mind. I'm more looking at Newcastle from sort of 19 onwards. Potentially. When do we get Palmer? Not for a while. Not over Christmas. Not with the amount. He's literally said he can't play twice a week. And game week 19's midweek for Chelsea. But that's Bournemouth at home, in between City and Villa. Game week 21, it starts to look a bit better again, and the spacing's a bit better, but we're still in the Champions League and now need to win games. So, yeah. No, you won't lose your AFCON transfers if you don't make them this week. No. Why am I not going Chalobah? I don't mind the Chalobah shout. I actually have looked at the fixtures and wonder if he's quite a good buy. I don't mind the Chalobah pick. As a Chelsea fan, you're surprised how many people are getting rid of Enzo. Think people are making a mistake. I mean, he's not as good a pick while Caicedo's out. And the only return he's had since game week 6 was that last-minute counter-attack against Burnley. It's the only thing he's done since game week 6. Chelsea defenders are all bad. If you have a look at his Chalobah's points this season, Enzo will score. Listen, if Enzo scores, we're all fine with that. We're all fine with that. If it means Chelsea are going to win for once. If Guiu starts your bench boost, I don't think Guiu will start. No. Start 2 from Lacroix, Rodon, Keane and Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson definitely, and probably Lacroix. Rice or Szoboszlai, probably Szoboszlai. Enzo or Voltemada, who to bench? Enzo or Voltemada, who to bench? I'd play Voltemada over Enzo. Yeah, I'd play Enzo. I'd play Voltemada over Enzo. Bruno Guimaraes for Enzo. I don't mind him as a replacement. I'm looking at him in sort of 19 potentially. Saka or Thiago captain. Saka for me. Livramento sub or Mukiele? I prefer Mukiele this week than Livramento because I expect both teams to score, and Mukiele's much better for DEFCON. Yeah, Rice or Szoboszlai is quite common. I probably would go Szoboszlai, but if you're not going to use your third Arsenal spot anywhere else, then maybe you just go Rice. It's just with the slight doubt that he starts today. That's the issue. Is it worth keeping Minter until game week 20 or get Szoboszlai instead? I think I probably would prefer Szoboszlai over Minter. Have Minter instead of Foden, keep or transfer. If you can do Minter to Foden, I would do it. Yeah, that feels like a good one if you've got the money in the bank. Would I sell Rice to Saka or Eze? I mean, if you can do Rice to Saka, I probably would, but I'm not sure it's worth it. Like, I'd want to keep Rice. Will Eze start this week? I expect him to. He was rested midweek, didn't start. So I think Eze's a great pick. Eze's one I'm really jealous of. His minutes have been much better than I thought they were going to be. I just thought as soon as Odegaard came back, it would just be a massive issue and massive risk, but it hasn't turned out to be. Captain Haaland or Eze? I'd go Haaland. I would go Haaland over Eze. I would. I don't mind Eze as a punt though. Like, I wouldn't say no if you said you were going to do it, but yeah. Will Rice start? Probably. Not guaranteed though. Szoboszlai or Semenyo to replace Burmo? I'm probably going Semenyo first because of Szoboszlai's yellows. According to live FPL, there are 31 players. Has it updated? It normally updates every hour. So it probably hasn't yet. Oh, it might have done. Yeah, you see, Semenyo, he's changed, but he'd do well to get to 100 by the deadline. And then, is it going to be enough to push him over it with Burnley at home next week? I'm not sure it is. When would I bench boost with my team? Would I do it this week? No, I wouldn't bench boost. I'd probably wait until 18, I think. 18 probably looks the best for my team. Rice for Enzo. I don't mind it. You're running a risk that Rice doesn't start, which is possible, but I think Rice is more likely to start than Timber. Thoughts on sticking with Isak as a differential or just move him to Ekatike? I'd sell Isak. Why is benching a Nori behind Minter and Anderson? I just think Palace probably score, basically. In which case, the floor for the others is probably better. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like the 0.1 loss is what it is for Semenyo if I buy him. Yeah, it is what it is, really. Yeah. You're so torn whether to take punts on Eze and Harry Wilson or not. I like the Eze punt. I don't know how you'll feel about it next week, whereas Harry Wilson you'll probably get more than 1 week out of. That's the thing. Is 2 Palace defenders bad for this week, like Richards and Gay you already own? I don't think it's great for this week, but I don't mind it long term. Like, my plan before Munoz got injured was to buy 2 of them and have Munoz and Richards. So I don't have a problem with it. I do think they're slightly weak at the moment, but it does sound like Ismail Assar is going to play for Palace today. So, yeah, you can't afford Foden. Who should I buy? Szoboszlai, Semenyo. Free hit team, if you're on free hit on wildcard, I would say go and check out my complete guide video from yesterday afternoon. And there was one of both of those in there. For Wilson, sell Enzo or Minter. I'd rather sell Enzo than Minter because I think 3 of the next 4 still look pretty good for Minter. If I don't have triple Arsenal, would I do Enzo to Rice? Probably, yeah. Now, I could sell Timber to get that spot, but I don't think I'm going to sell him. News on Timber, yeah, nothing on Arsenal. They're not until the late game, though, so we're unlikely to get anything on Arsenal. We struggle to get any Arsenal news when they're the early kickoff, let alone when they're at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. No love for Cherky as a differential. I think he'll be interesting next week in that spot, but I think I'd rather Semenyo or Szoboszlai. Is Guy expected to start? No. No. Any love for Bowen? I think from 18, Bowen's going to be a great pick. Right. I have drunk 2.5 or a bottle and a half of water during this stream, and I am not going to make it to the deadline before I need the toilet. So I'm going to go now, and then we can have the last half an hour. I will literally be 1 minute, so stick around. I'll put the background music on while I go. And I'll be 1 minute. Can you even hear the music? I don't think I turned the music on. I'm back. Thank you, Mikey, for saying like the stream. Anyway, let's get back to the question. Music was on. Oh, you could. Oh, did I turn it off then? Is it still playing? Is it still playing? I don't know. It says it's off, but it says it's off. Anyway, Bruno versus Haaland for captain. Haaland is the only one I would. Saka's the only one I'd captain over Haaland. Swap Rice to Eze. I love the Eze pick this week, but I wouldn't sell Rice. I think Rice is better long term. Yeah, I think Rice is better. Rice is better long term. Any news on Senesi? It was just cramp, right? Most players overcome cramp in the space of a week, but we don't actually know if he's going to be back. But he should be back for next week, yeah. Marino, thoughts? I'm not sure. I think predicting the striker for Arsenal today is really difficult. I wouldn't go Gyökeres. I wouldn't go Marino. I wouldn't buy any of them. Any news on Mbeumo? No. There's been nothing more on Mbeumo and Ahmad, etc. No. What is the update on Mbeumo? Yeah, we don't have anything. Just on that, any Liverpool fans in the chat, if that lineup is right and there's no Isak and it's effectively McAllister in for Isak, is Szoboszlai then further forward? Is Szoboszlai then playing... Who's playing up front? What formation is that? Is it a diamond? But then who's up top? Is McAllister in the 10 with... like Verts basically up front? (4-4-2). Like, if we get the same tactic diamond with Salah and Ekitike, but apparently it's... So does Szoboszlai's position... But then who's up front if Wirtz is in the 10? Wirtz up front, Szoboszlai in the 10. Diamond, same as how we ended versus Inter. Yeah, but Ekitike striker still. Szoboszlai in the 3 somewhere. But last game. Right. Let me get this up because this could be important. Let's get against Liverpool against Inter. Oh, is it the same? Right. So it will be the same as this, but Wirtz instead of Isak, right? Is McAllister further forward than Szoboszlai? It will be the same as this. But if it's this with Wirtz in over Isak, does Wirtz just play up front? Oh, you didn't play that formation. Okay, well, then that's not very helpful, is it? People said it was the same as you ended the... What did you play against Leeds? More like this then, but not Gakpo. McAllister, and so like that. Sort of like this, but McAllister in the middle and Wirtz left. No? Yeah, Curtis Jones and then Gomez. It's a 4-2-2-2. Okay, does it change? If Wirtz plays over Isak, does it make Szoboszlai a better pick? That's what I'm trying to decide. If there is only one striker and it's just Ekitike, does it make Szoboszlai a better pick? Is he further forward or is he not further forward? Anyway. No, yes, surely, yes. 4-4-2 with McAllister. Igor, does it make... Yes, further forward. He is further forward. He'll probably be right wing, so yes. It's a 4-4-2 diamond. Interesting. Szoboszlai could be the closest to Ekitike. Dominic has full license on that right half space. Yes, slightly further forward, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Okay. Cool. Best Gakpo replacement. I mean, Semenyo or Szoboszlai. That's what I'm going to do for my Enzo spot. I do like the idea of Szoboszlai just going there straight away. I just hope he doesn't get booked. Brighton and Spurs, though. He could easily get booked in one of them. Is Mo Salah playing? Apparently he's in the squad. I don't expect him to start. It's absolutely not a diamond. Wirtz isn't playing as a striker. No one seems to know. No one seems to know exactly what is going to happen if there's no Isak and no Gakpo and no Salah. Interesting. What they've been planning. Does the yellow card... So yellow cards reset after the team has played 19 matches. So game week 20. Effectively, it resets. There have been cases. So if, let's say, Arsenal get a game postponed, they then have to get to game week 21 because, it has to... It's 19 matches for the team they play for, not the 19th game week of the season, if that makes sense. But for this season, it is just 19 game weeks, effectively. Why this sudden obsession with Semenyo for one fixture? It's more that I need an Enzo replacement, and I could go straight to Szoboszlai. But he's on 4 yellows. He's on 4 yellows. I just love that Burnley at home fixture next week for him. My head is saying that maybe Szoboszlai is just a safer pick for the next 4 and just hope he doesn't get booked. Hope he's aware that he's on 4 yellows. Yeah, that's it. Szoboszlai versus Semenyo is what we're deciding. He's 100% getting booked. He obviously knows he's on 4 yellows. But does that mean that, I mean, once you get to game week 18, 19, maybe he just says, I'm going to... You did 4 transfers. Wilson, Anderson, Thiago and Foden in. Is that good? Yeah, I like all of those. Triple captain Salah. I prefer Haaland next week. Nosensi, Munoz to O'Reilly, Margay or Keane. I'd probably go O'Reilly if you need to play them this week. If not, I quite like Keane from 18, but I'd probably go O'Reilly. Maybe he wants a day off. Maybe. If he gets booked, it doesn't save me a transfer. Szoboszlai right 10, Wirtz left 10. What would I do with Voltemada? Voltemada I'd keep. The only striker I'd sell Voltemada to is Thiago, unless you need the money and you want to come down from that. I mean, Semenyo's points recently have not been great. Right. So, I mean, Semenyo's not been fantastic, has he? Like, data-wise, I mean, he was really unlucky not to get anything against Chelsea. Everton, they weren't good. Sunderland, they threw it away. Have not been that great, but nor of Liverpool. Four yellows, but the next 5 are pretty good. Did he get bonus there? No, only 1. Brentford. It sounds like you've decided on Szoboszlai. I think quite the opposite. I know Bournemouth have a good record at Old Trafford as well. I find these 2 fixtures quite difficult to call, to be honest. His data apart from that one, I mean, he was playing further forward in that game though. And he definitely had chances, but a lot of that will come from the goal. Why not Wilson? I could just go cheap with Wilson, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to either go straight to Szoboszlai, who I want in 18, or I go Semenyo first. Why not captain Bruno? Yeah, I'm not. Bournemouth are a good side. Start one of Tarkowski, Senesi, Richards. Probably Senesi. Yeah, it's do you take the chance on the yellow cards? When has he had them? Has he had one for a while? I don't know whether that changes anything. Yellow cards. He had them back-to-back against City and Villa. He had one against Chelsea and he had one at home to Everton. So they have been in the slightly bigger games, which you would argue that Brighton and Spurs potentially are. He'll probably be under pretty strict instructions not to get one against Brighton, though. Because they'll need him for Spurs in 17. Szoboszlai's better this week. Semenyo's better next week. Then Szoboszlai's better. The yellows were in a mix of positions. I did look at that Asa, but it's when he played midfield and at right back. It's not a direct correlation. You want Szoboszlai, but you're keeping Semenyo for the next 2. Then if you've got Semenyo, you definitely don't sell him to Szoboszlai. I can afford Bruno Guimaraes, but I prefer Szoboszlai and Semenyo to Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah. Do I like 3 Arsenal defenders? Not that much, actually, because after this week, I'm not sure the fixtures lead themselves to triple defence, particularly with Saliba and Gabriel injured. I mean, I could just end up with Enzo. I'm going to sell him. Muck, you got Thiago in right when you made your transfer, but I still have bench boost free at triple captain. You have the same bench as you without flagging players. When should you play? I mean, if you haven't made transfers this week, you could free it this week. Triple captain 17. Triple captain 17, bench boost 18, and then free hit in either 16 or 19. Will I consider Mbeumo and Timber to Saka and O'Reilly? Mbeumo and Timber to Saka and O'Reilly. Yes, don't mind that. Yeah. Yeah. Any news on Rice or Timber? No, nothing yet. Nothing. I've got to make this decision now. Enzo to Wilson. Wilson's another one. I think part of it is the price. I think that's the part of it's the price, but bench boost 16 or 18. 18. Be bold, choose Szoboszlai. I'm not sure if Szoboszlai is that bold, but 3 of the next 4 at home. Szoboszlai is such an uninspiring pick. But he's going to take most set pieces, isn't he? Most set pieces, pens. 3 out of the next 4 are Brighton, Wolves, Leeds at home. Let's have a look. Liverpool attacking data's there. Bournemouth is up there. Brighton, Wolves, Leeds. I mean, I definitely want Szoboszlai for those. 18, 19. Oh, I don't have my team up. Targeting one fixture always goes wrong. Yeah, it does, to be fair. I've literally said this, but then I am targeting sort of one game. I don't know if I want Liverpool players right now. Do I really want double Liverpool? Szoboszlai for Semenyo for 2 weeks and then to Szoboszlai. H solo. Let's take a look. Start Anderson or Burn. I'd play Anderson over Burn. Timber must start. I wouldn't captain Timber. I would never really captain a defender. Even when Gabriel was being captained, I wouldn't do that. So no, I wouldn't captain Timber. Yeah, you have Timber and Rice. Should I take the risk or transfer Rice to Saka? You already made 3 transfers. If you've got the money just sat in the bank, then probably. Right, I've got 12 minutes to decide on Semenyo or Szoboszlai. I'm pretty certain I'm going to sell Enzo, so I am going to make a transfer. He is going to go. It's, I mean, Brighton are not bad. Spurs away have been mixed. The next 2 are definitely better for Semenyo. I just don't know if it's definitely worth a transfer. Don't know if it's definitely worth a transfer. Yeah, Saka captain's not moving. I am really tempted to just go Szoboszlai, save myself a transfer. Take a 1-game risk and go Dango. I'm either going Semenyo or I'm going Szoboszlai. Saka triple captain. No, I would save triple captain for next week. I know the 4 yellows. I just don't think I can take that risk. It's just 1 extra transfer. If he got booked, I'd be so annoyed. But if he doesn't get booked, it just looks obvious that you should just go Szoboszlai. But then I've got to look at it as the next 2, right? Because I'm going to go Szoboszlai if he's not booked in. Yeah, less risk of 5 yellows if you delay it. Enzo to Szoboszlai, do it. Why not? Thiago captain. Thiago's 3rd on my ranking. I think I just prefer Saka Haaland. White and Hincapié for the free hits. I'd go White, Lewis Skelly, but White Hincapié also works. You got to remember Calafiori's suspended, so White, Lewis Skelly feels like quite a nice differential on free hit, but you're still having double Arsenal. Enzo's like a free 4-pointer this week. No, Enzo hasn't hit DEFCON once this season. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, he's hit it once against Brentford. If Enzo had DEFCON, then I probably would just stick with him, but he doesn't, and I'm going to sell him, I think. Szoboszlai. Right, transfer tab. I think I'll go Semenyo for the next 2, but you never know. It might be a different Liverpool player that we're buying. Someone said they just tagged me in something, so that's what I'm looking at. Szoboszlai with 4 yellows, yeah. Free hit, top 3 Arsenal. Saka, Eze, Ben White. If you want double defence, then drop Eze for Lewis Skelly. Rice or Szoboszlai for only a 2 Arsenal. I think Szoboszlai is a better pick than Rice. I think. No, Semenyo is not going to AFCON. Didn't qualify. Did not qualify. What to do with Timber? I would just keep him. I'm just keeping and starting Timber. How long have we got? 7 minutes. I just don't think I could run the risk on the yellow cards. I just don't think I can run a risk on the yellow cards. If he wasn't on 4 yellows, I'd just go straight to Szoboszlai though, I think. It's how much weight I put on him potentially getting booked. I've got to make the transfer. Semenyo just got married, so his head's not in the game. I think he just got engaged. Best goalie on free hit, Martinez is flagged. I'd go Sanchez. Free hit, Rice, Odegaard, or Eze. Definitely Eze. Definitely. Still, we're unlikely to get any early team news on anything. I am looking at Twitter, but... just go Szoboszlai. Right, will Ben White start? Yes. Yes, I like Ben White. He's a very good pick this week. Should be playing right back for them. Why not Rice? I've got triple up on Arsenal, so I can't go Rice. Is Wirtz a buy? I don't think Wirtz is the worst buy. Slightly more expensive than I'd want, but he's not the worst. Higher trust in Szoboszlai return versus Semenyo this week. I'm not sure this week. Over the next few, maybe. Why is Enzo 6... Oh, who for Enzo at 6.7 million? I'd go straight to Szoboszlai then. If I couldn't afford Semenyo, I'd be going Szoboszlai. White won't start. I see no reason with the amount of injuries that he doesn't just keep his place. Yeah. Amazing. Semenyo comes back after you didn't want him versus Chelsea. Yeah, this is the thing though. If I could have sold Enzo to Foden last week, I would have done it. I would have done it last week. Do I think I'll keep Bruno all season? Yeah, probably. Well, probably not actually. But do I see myself selling him anytime soon? Like, no. Saka triple captain. Good luck. I don't mind it. He's probably the second or third best one left this season. If Semenyo is temporary, why not Wilson? Because the Burnley at home fixture next week, and I think Bournemouth are better attacked than Fulham. Semenyo or Szoboszlai for one less free transfer than you. Then I mean, it's the same, right? You go Szoboszlai because you think you're saving a transfer, but it doesn't save a transfer if he gets booked. Maybe if I had one less, I'd be more inclined just to risk it though. Derek, start Dewsbury Hall, Calvert-Lewin, Timber, Anderson, Chaël, Captain Thiago. Would I start Dewsbury Hall or Calvert-Lewin? I'd play Calvert-Lewin out of those two. Right, let me do my transfer. I'm going to go Semenyo. I'm not going to take the risk on the 4 yellows for Szoboszlai. I don't think. I could go Dango, but yeah, I need a punt for 2 weeks. And there is a chance Dango plays next week, but it doesn't look like it now. Why don't I play Enzo? I just don't fancy him that much this week. Like I don't think he's a great pick. Yeah. Keep Semenyo or buy Saka. I'd rather Saka than Semenyo. Semenyo in for Enzo, leaving me 0.0 in the bank. That is going to be me for this week. Right, 2 minutes to the deadline. Let's do some questions. Rodgers or Szoboszlai on free hit? I don't think I had either in free hit. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go Szoboszlai over Rodgers. Van Dijk to Timber. No, I wouldn't be selling Van Dijk. Cash or Chalobah to start? I'd play Chalobah probably. Bench Saliba. I'd start Saliba in case he's back, but I don't expect he will be. Man United have looked leaky. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's the worst fixture to have him for. If I didn't have money for Semenyo, would I have gone to Szoboszlai? Definitely, yeah. If I didn't have Semenyo, I would have just gone to Szoboszlai. Yeah. Would I risk Rice in for Ndai this week? Yes, you can, yeah. I think Rice will probably play, but I don't know. Yeah. Thoughts on Eze or Semenyo? I probably would go Semenyo long term. Eze is definitely better this week. I wouldn't actually hate going Eze this week and then going to Semenyo next week. I think that's probably worth the gamble. Yeah. This is where Wolves go and win, potentially. I think I saw something where they had like a 1% chance of winning, though. Keep Semenyo or buy Foden. This week, I mean, I probably would go Foden. I think he's the better pick long term. So you could just keep Semenyo this week, but probably would want Foden. Is Foden better than Voltemada? Yes. Is Timber starting? We don't know. Why Richards before Rodon on the bench? Just better for DEFCON if they have to sub in. And Goodmanson to start or Mark Gay. I'd probably go Mark Gay. Is it wise to free hit button immediately for game week 7 or rather wait if I plan to free hit 17? If you're going to free hit 17, you can start making transfers straight away. Goalkeeper for 5 million. Sanchez, Verbruggen or Kelleher. Right, we are into the final 1 minute before the deadline. Please go and check your teams. That is going to be all of the questions that we are going to answer. This is my team locked in. We have done Mateta to Thiago. We did Enzo to Semenyo and Captain Saka over Haaland. That is going to be all the questions. Please go and check your teams, check your captains, check your transfers, check your bench, check your vice captains, check everything. Make sure your team is locked in by the deadline in just over 20 seconds. That is going to be my team for this week. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Interesting to see what happens. I'm sure Enzo's going to score now. But yes, go and check everything. If you are going to head off, please drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. Game week 16 team. Let me just tweet it. So what did I do? Mateta and Enzo out. Who did I bring in? Thiago and Semenyo in. Semenyo back 1 week after selling him. Saka, captain over Haaland. Good luck. Good luck this week. Right, let me just... Did I? Cool. There we go. There we go. Why did he do Enzo out before Everton at home and not just Semenyo next week? Because I don't fancy Enzo this week. He plays too deep when Caicedo's not there. That was the concern. Right, let's have a look at some fantasy challenge quickly. Pick team. Imagine if Noni starts, I know. Double points for forwards priced at 7.5 million and below. Players must be priced under at the deadline. Okay. 7.5. So Thiago goes in. João Pedro goes in. 7.5 and below. Oh, I like Bowen. In the midfield, I'm going to put Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is my midfielder. Defensively, who's a big, rank threat to my defense? No, I'm going Szoboszlai in challenge, not Enzo. Because as a Chelsea fan, I don't mind Enzo scoring. Who's a big rank threat defensively for me? I don't think I have any, really. Oh, I could go Jimenez up front. That's true. Yeah, Hincapi actually is the one I'm going to go with. And then in goal... maybe I'll go Donnarumma. Pope, Vicario. Let's go Vicario because I've got Sanchez, O'Reilly, Raya. But can I have more than one from one team? I've already got Arsenal in my team. Captain. Who am I going to captain? Thanks for all the great content, Harry. I would say good luck but the king of FPL doesn't need... I do feel like I need some luck at the moment. What other sports do I follow? Cricket, rugby, cricket, rugby, bit of tennis every now and then, football, of course, cricket, rugby, of course, I follow football. Yeah. I don't follow any of them as much as I do football, though. Let's go João Pedro captain. Why not? Or I should captain Szoboszlai, really. But they get double points, so... Jimenez is another one I quite like. Ash is going well. Yeah, Ash is going really great. Ash is really, really good at the moment. Yeah. João Pedro captain, no pens. Maybe I take out Bowen and I go Jimenez captain. Raul. Let's do that. Right. Thiago pens to Vissa. Why is Szoboszlai good pick currently? Yeah, England have been not very good at the cricket. That is absolutely right. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. We can do club. Yeah, we can do club quickly. We can do club before we wrap it up. My club team this week is looking a little bit all over the place. But if you want to download club, it's a completely free-to-play football manager game. The league code is in the bottom. We've just hit 2,000 members in the league, so thank you all very much. If you're not playing it yet, start to download it. It's a cross between Ultimate Team and FPL, where every couple of hours you get given a pack. So I want to hear the guesses in the chat of who you think I'm going to get. You can also download it with a QR code. And I've got Timber in mind. I've also got Rice. And I'm a little bit over budget. But we are going to open a pack. So let's see those guesses in the chat. Who do you think I am going to get? Who do you think I'm going to get? Trossard, Timber. Let's see the guesses. Pickford. Right, I'm going to open it now and then I'll show you. Pickford. Any Premier League player, basically. Any Premier League player. Szoboszlai, could you imagine? Trossard, Grealish, Lewis Hall. Oh, it's a rare. Midfielder. West Ham. Thomas Souček. Fortunately, Thomas Souček is not going to make it into my team. This is my lineup for the moment. I've got quadruple Arsenal defence this week. I've got Lewis Skelly, Ben White, Timber and Raya. I've got Rice, Bruno, Foden, Bruno Guimaraes. I've got Otara. I took Ekitike on loan. And Harry Wilson. I've got to fix my budget before the deadline. Anyway, that is all for the big one. Just before you go, actually, yes, I need your help. Which of these, I'm looking to make a new background for the intro to my channel, right? Do you prefer this one or this one? So this is number one. This is number one. And this is number two. So this is currently number 2. This is number 2. And this is number 1. Number 1, number 2. Any preference, let me know. This is number 2. This is number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Let me do a poll quick. Start a poll. Oh, I've got to end this one first. Wait. Hang on. Let me start a poll because I can't start a poll. Background 1. Oh, my computer's like lagging. 1, 2. Right, so this is 1, and then that's 2. 1, 2. I prefer 2, I think, but this is 1, this is 2. This is 1, this is 2. This is 1, and this is 2. I think number 2. I think this is a big improvement on what I've got at the moment anyway. Anyway, this is 1, this is 2. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all very much. Good luck this game week. And I will catch you all very soon. Thank you.